Today, we will be looking at the life of a man named by his enemies as White Death, a man who in a short period of time managed to make himself a legend, and inspire fellow soldiers to fight without fear or doubt, leading to a historically quick victory against the odds and engraving his name in Finnish history forever. He was a man feared by Russian soldiers, a man who still holds the title of the world's deadliest sniper, with at least 505 confirmed kills during the Winter War between Finland and the Soviet Union. Simo Häyhä, named White Death. Simo Häyhä was born on December 17, 1905, to parents Juho and Katriina Häyhä in the Rautjärvi municipality hamlet of Keskinen. This region was in the former Finnish territory of Karelia, which is currently Russian territory. He worked as a farmer and had a wide range of hobbies such as snow skiing, shooting, and hunting. In the war known historically as the Winter War, which took place in the winter of 1939 to 1940, Häyhä fought for Finland against the Soviet Union. He was 33 when the Winter War began, and on December 17, 1939, he celebrated turning 34 in the Kolar battlefield. He served with the 6th Battalion, Infantry Regiment 34 for 98 days. Simo Häyhä was injured and hospitalized during the final week of the war, which lasted just 105 days, therefore he was unable to see its conclusion. For him to have only served for 98 days and achieved the title of the deadliest sniper, should give you a glimpse of how massive his achievement was. Häyhä terrorized Russian soldiers for 98 days while remaining unseen and unheard. At one point, he even managed to kill 25 soldiers in one day. With snipers presenting such high-value targets on the battlefield, Simo's reputation as a marksman soon reached the Russian front lines. They referred to him as the White Death. On one occasion, after Häyhä had once again killed an enemy sniper with a single shot, the Russians in turn tried to kill him by shooting indirect fire, a mortar bombardment, at the vicinity of his firing position. Incredibly, Häyhä was not wounded or killed, making it out without a scratch. On another occasion, an artillery shell landed near his firing position and tore apart the back of his greatcoat. Häyhä survived this with only a minor scratch to his back. Häyhä claimed that despite spending so much time on the front lines, he never felt afraid. He regarded his profession the same way he did hunting, constantly coming up with new strategies for hiding and deceiving the foe. He used cunning techniques, such as pouring water into the snow in front of him so that the muzzle blast would not expose his location by disturbing the light snow. He also became a master of using sounds, smoke and artillery fire to cover his movements when changing positions. With maps very scarce during the war, Häyhä relied on his memory to find the best hiding positions. Someone who knew Häyhä well was quoted saying his gun was an EMS-28-30, one that he had owned before the war, without even a telescopic sight. It was a basic weapon, but one that he had mastered through years of experience. Häyhä's skill was enhanced by his thorough shooting preparations. He frequently visited his favorite firing positions at night, making whatever preparations and improvements he thought were required. Due to his attention to the task at hand, his behavior could be regarded as obsessive. He would clean his weapon considerably more frequently than most soldiers, and conduct maintenance tasks both before and after completing a mission. Proper gun maintenance was necessary to keep it from jamming, especially in the -20°C cold of the Finnish winter. He was using an EMS-28-30 that he had acquired before to the war, and it was devoid of any telescopic sights. In the late 1930s, this rifle served as the standard for Finnish troops, and Häyhä favored it for its consistency and repeatability of its shot. Although it was a simple weapon, he had developed mastery through time. Because his weapon was zeroed, the sights adjusted, at 150 meters, the typical combat range at the period, he could quickly change to the appropriate setting as needed. One strange myth that surrounds snipers is that they would climb trees to shoot the enemy. Haya would laugh when asked about this. Not only would it make it far more difficult to keep a steady aim at the enemy, but if he was ever discovered he would have no escape route. Instead, Haya used overhanging branches for cover, which provided better protection and allowed him to keep a steady aim. Haya was aware that when a hunter fires a shot at his intended target, he must be able to see the impact because any game will try to flee if the initial shot is not lethal, unless the injury prevents the animal from moving. Any animal will fight to defend itself until it is either dead or immobile. This sobering truth also holds true for combatants who are humans. He learned how to read and use the landscape from his hunting experiences, and Haya was the very best at using the terrain of the battlefield to his advantage. Along with these abilities, Haya's father had also taught him another crucial hunting skill, distance estimation. He had to practice a lot in order to master this talent, first by estimating the distance to a target and then pacing out by steps. In most cases his estimate was almost perfect. When checking out his estimates, a typical variation from the actual distance was 1 or 2 steps, either way at distances of approximately 150 meters. As a young man, he also learned to estimate the effects of wind and rain on shooting and conditions in forest. Until he was wounded on March 6, 1940, in the woodlands of Ulisma in the Kolar district, Simo was a nightmare for the Soviet troops in the Finnish winter forests thanks to his distinct personality and years of training. During a Russian onslaught, he was struck by an explosive bullet and went into a coma. He didn't come out of it until 1 week later, by which time the armistice had been signed. Haya's injury left him with long-term facial scarring and nearly constant pain for many years. After the war had ended, Haya returned to his farm. His war exploits were legendary in Finland and he became something of a celebrity, but he preferred his own company. Kalevi Aikon, a friend of Haya, said, Simo spoke more with animals in the forest than with other people. Considering that he underwent a total of 26 surgical operations on his jaw, and his speech was never fully restored, it is not difficult to understand why he may not have wanted to interact with others more than was necessary. Until he moved into the Kaimi Institute for Disabled Veterans in 2001, he lived alone. He died in 2002 aged 96. Simo Haya was the most successful sniper who ever lived because he understood everything going on around him. He was a skilled trekker and hunter who knew exactly how to stay hidden. His gun was one he had used for years and he knew exactly how it would react in its environment, and his personality was ideally suited to sniping, with his willingness to be alone and the ability to avoid the emotions which many would attach to such a job. Considering his small stature, he was born to hunt and sniping lent itself to him well. Of his most valuable insight. War is not a pleasant experience, he said, but who else would protect this land unless we are willing to do it ourselves? What are your thoughts on the world's deadliest sniper and his achievements? Let me know in the comments below. And are there any other people in history who have been as feared as Simo Haya while also being hailed as heroes? If you enjoyed the video, leave a like, and if you want to hear about more impressive figures in history, subscribe and turn the notification on for more videos of some of history's most impactful people, both immortalized in legends we all may know or the unknown people whose stories were mostly forgotten and lost to time.